Archive Facebook Live. It is such a pleasure to be back and to be live and to feel well on this super snowy day. I'm getting right into the message of this video, and I am hoping and praying and declaring that we have great service the entire time and everything works out so we can have an awesome broadcast. And so let's go. I'm so happy to see you guys. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. So what do I think about self-love? And this video basically is, I'm going to tell you guys my story, how I've come to a place of just being completely full of confidence and of love and of just, believing in myself and what that took, how I know it's possible, no matter where you come from or what journey you're on or what your circumstances are. And also what I think that you can do, and what do I think self-love is. So I think self-love is so unbelievably important for every individual to have, for I think every obvious reason out there. And I think that as I'm growing older and as I'm meeting people, and there's so many people that are grown in their 40s and their 50s, and they don't love themselves completely. And when I began to meet a lot of these older women who or I should say mature women that don't love themselves, that kind of freaked me out. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, like I thought you would get to a place that you just experience life and then you accept yourself and you realize your value and your worth. But apparently, hey everybody, hello, mwah. But apparently, that's not something that just flips the switch. Apparently, that's not how it goes. You don't just turn 30 or 40 or 50 and then just love yourself one day. Hi, hey sweetie. So it's really important to do work and to identify and to, build that self-love up, no matter where you are, considering the fact that, it's something that has to be worked on, and it's a tool, and it's almost like a muscle. And so it's something that you have to, that you have to work at in order to develop and in order to have, because believe it or not, if you don't work on this, because if you don't work on this and you just continue to live life until you're like 40 or 50, it's very possible that you're an adult and you're married and you even have, and you aren't completely in love with yourself and accept yourself. So what happened for me? I think my relationship with self-love was something that began when I was very, very young. There was something always within me that I just wanted love. I just wanted love. I craved love. I was in love with love. I just loved love. And not only that, my birthday's on Valentine's Day, so kind of gives it away that my life revolved around this concept of love. Oh, well, I declare that it gets better. Thanks for telling me. So my birthday's on Valentine's Day, and needless to say that my entire life has revolved around this concept of love. So as a young girl, I, was always in relationships. I always had a boyfriend, and I loved being in love. I thought that it was like the most wonderful thing. And also, in addition to that, my mother and I, in addition to that, my mother and I never really were very close. Like emotionally, she really was not there for me. My mother really did her own thing. I did my thing. So I didn't really receive that love from her. So I always yearned for love, and I wanted love because I didn't get it from my mom. And I think as a female, that's the first person that you want love from. You need it from your mother. So I didn't have it in the ways that I wanted it when I was young. So that was another reason that I was so in love with the idea of love. And like I said, as a young child, I'm in a lot of relationships, and I was fulfilled in those ways. And that was how I expressed this need for love when I was younger. And as I'm growing up and as I'm experiencing life and as I am gaining maturity, that, my mother is who she is, I am who I am. Yeah, and I am who I am, and that's okay. I don't need to get love. I don't need to go to outside sources to feel this love. And so there was a point in my life where I went completely from one side of the spectrum to the other side of the spectrum. Like, honey, I was over there in Asia, and then I took a first class plane ticket over there to Europe. Like, I just totally went the other direction. And I began to find love in God and in church. And I felt amazing because this quench for love that I had was fulfilled by church and by God and by spirit. And I was very young and in the very beginning of my spiritual journey. You're awesome. And I was in the very beginning of my spiritual journey, so I didn't know a lot about spirituality, but I did learn a lot about Christianity. So for me, I basically, opened my mouth to this, ever-flowing fountain of love when I tapped into spirit, which I knew to be the love of Christ at that time. This is not going to be a religious video, by the way, just a disclaimer. I'm just sharing my story. But at the beginning, so I just totally, went to the other side because I finally found that love that I was looking for. And I found it in spirit. And I found it, and when I began on that journey and I found this unending, ever-pouring love that came from spirit, I realized that it was a lot of acceptance. It was a lot of acceptance that I began to build for myself, and it was a lot of acceptance that I began to build in the universe and divinity. And that quenched the love, this love need that I had. So with that being said, obviously my life took a turnaround. Miracles upon miracles were happening and life was getting better and I was feeling more confident. And relationships that I had that didn't honor myself and didn't, and if a relationship that I had didn't enhance me, didn't enhance my self-love or my self-growth, started to just trickle away naturally. I didn't have to have conversations with people about, we can't, don't really want to hang out with you, you're not really like the one for me anymore. Like, it just happened naturally because I just began to have this aura around me of just such self-love that if you weren't a part of the program of respecting me or being a part of my life, then you just started to dwindle away. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. So as that happened and as I started to find this, this self-love within myself, I just began to walk in acceptance. And so that's one story. Let's overlay this story with another story. Being much younger and, being in high school, being in college, there is such a sense of insecurity that's so easy to take on because there seems to be so much competition. And by competition, I mean people who dress better, people who look better, people who have more friends, people who have better relationships, people who have more money, so many other things. So there's so many things for you to compare yourself to. And, I am not ashamed to say that I felt unbelievably insecure during a lot of these times. I always compared myself to people. And I did not recognize my value. I did not recognize my worth. I did not recognize how beautiful I was or how valuable I was or, how special it was that I was. I always compared myself to others. And what I find to be insane on the other side of the spectrum, hello everybody, what I find to be insane on this other side of the spectrum is like, I don't understand how I could have ever done that because I am me. I'm not anybody else. And for me to compare myself to somebody is for me to be a car and to compare myself to that fruit. Like, it's literally that different. So when you're younger, you don't really have this education. It's really all that you know is by examples. So by all these examples, I compare myself and I was incredibly insecure. Even though so many other people would have never known that about me, you would have thought that I was happy and beautiful and, you might have thought like I was cool, but like on the inside, I really felt unbelievably insecure. So needless to say, So that just gives you a backstory of where I was mentally, what happened to me, how I transformed, and how I came to a better place. So let's fast forward a little bit, right? So I go forward. At this point, I have a really good Rolodex of, hi, I have a really good Rolodex of relationships that I've gone through that are examples of not loving me, of not honoring me, of not, respecting me. So I have experience, right? I have experience in relationship world. And then I have family members who I dive into and who I believe I love completely and I believe love me. And then family members started to really mistreat me and mistreat me by by not respecting who I was. I mean, I had family members say to me, how could you ever be married? Who would ever marry you? Who could ever love you? You're never going to amount to anything. You can't do this. You're not that bright. You're not that smart. And it may sound crazy to hear that. And I'm not saying this. I don't want anybody's sympathy. But my point here is that if I did not have this core, this knowing of who I am and that I was valuable and that I was beautiful and I was complete marriage material and I was a good person and I was brilliant, those words that these people who were close to me would have destroyed me. And I would have taken it to my heart, and I would have accepted that as my truth, and I wouldn't have been in the amazing relationship that I'm in now. I am in the most beautiful relationship where there is perfect amount of respect and honor and cherish and caring. And not only that, I have friendships now that are the most valuable, the strongest friendships ever, because I have survived, so to speak, all of these situations and all of these relationships that tested my self-love, so to speak. And it comes to you, and I think these tests, they come to you and the fashions and the forms of those who are really close to you. So I think that it's so unbelievably important to have self-love, because at the end of the day, how's my service? Okay, because at the end of the day, when you try to do something courageous, or you go out and you need to live yourself, and or go into a new relationship, or you're approaching a boy, you're approaching a guy, or you're trying to do something really different, you need to have that center backbone of loving yourself, because that's what's going to get you through it. There's a little voice. Your little voice inside of your head is not, you can do it. Love yourself. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're marriage material. You are mommy material. If that's not what your inner voice says, then you're in deep shit. Sorry. That's a really big problem, because at that point, then you allow yourself to be vulnerable, because whatever is on the inside is going to exude, is going to be louder than any word you can speak, than any gesture you can make. The feeling of lack of self-love and the feeling and the lack of confidence is something that, exudes into the world and is dangerous, because people will sense that, people will see that, they can take advantage of that, or they can mistreat you. And the only person who is in charge of determining how other people are going to treat you or how you're going to live your life is yourself. So you have to have that self-love. You have to have that self-confidence. You have to have that self-belief. And when you're done, when you do your makeup in the morning and you're in that mirror and the only person there is yourself, when you're done getting ready, you need to say, damn girl, you need to love you. And because if you do your makeup and you doll up and you do your best and that is who you are, and you still think that there's more you need to do, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody, if you want to lose weight, if you want to work out, that's awesome. But that's self-love. That's self-love, wanting to better yourself. But my point is if you're at the end of that, of getting yourself done up, and you still feel like you still need more, oh, I wish I had more makeup. Oh, I wish I had more cleavage. That's a problem, because that means that you don't have self-acceptance. Because that means that you don't have self-acceptance, and you need to have self-acceptance, because if you are at the other end of doing your makeup and getting ready, and you do feel that you're so beautiful, and you can say to yourself, wow, I'm stunning, I'm valuable, that feeling, that inner you, that inner knowing is more beautiful than any foundation or any lipstick or any haircut. That beauty, that confidence, that inner self-acceptance is just as visible as anything that you could put on. And that's what's going to attract the people, the friendships, the relationships, the opportunities that you really want. It's that self-acceptance, and it's that self-love. Because I taught this before in an earlier class, when you fall in love in something, when you love anything, and you love something to a really high degree, you bring it into existence. So when you fall in love with yourself, you bring yourself, your true purpose, your inner alignment to its fullest potential. And that means, bringing everything into your life that is supposed to be there, meaning it be a relationship or a certain opportunity or a certain friendship or a certain material thing. It all comes from inner self-love and from inner confidence. So I am going to conclude this video, and I'm going to wrap this video up with saying that there is nothing more important than you falling utterly in love with yourself, and having confidence, and believing that you are attractive, and you are sexy, and you are worthy. Oh, that's okay. Bye. And believing that you are sexy, and you are attractive, and you are worthy of all things that are yours by divine right, because you're you, and you don't need any other reason except that you're you. And you can't compare a car to a fruit to an animal. You can't. You are you. Be the best version of you, and love the best version of you, because you are you. And that's it. There's nothing else to say. So I love you guys deeply and truly, and I am just so glad for everybody who watched this, and I just want you to love yourself. I just want you to find that love within yourself, and I want you to, when you're done doing your makeup, getting ready, going out into the world, taking leaps of faith, being courageous, know that all of you is at the table, and all of you has so much to offer, and is so valuable, and is so beautiful, and is so worthy. And to not compare yourself. When you go into a room, when you go into the world, do not compare yourself. Love yourself for everything that you are, because you are you. So, love you guys so much. Aww. Mwah. And I love you. You gotta be strong. You have to be absolutely strong. And you have to just love yourself to the fullest, and that's what strength is truly loving yourself no matter what is going on around you, no matter what people say of you. Make your love for yourself the strongest protection that you have. Because when you do love yourself to that upteenth degree, that is the strongest protection you could have, because that is where the self-security, the self-confidence, the self-admiration, all of that comes in play, and that is the biggest force field. That is the biggest vibrational block you can have from other people trying to tear you down. You make it unpenetratable, as I said the other day, when you make yourself pyramid proof, when you get yourself to that point of just, nobody can say anything to me, nobody can tear me down, nobody can take away my opportunities or my relationship or my love or my business that is mine by divine right, when you love yourself that much. So if you guys just are jumping on towards the end, I encourage you to watch the beginning. I love you so much. And I hope you have a fantastic day. All of you are amazing and wonderful and beautiful, and I love you. Bye, guys.